Hi everyone. We have Kenn Backhaus today on this short video today, and Kenn has just a great word. Actually, we were talking with Kenn earlier, and what he was saying, I'm like, this is just so brilliant. Let's share this with the art world. And so, thanks, Kenn, for coming on this short little call here and sharing your knowledge today with everyone. And I think the title was we came with Kenn was
well, thanks, Gabor. And I think this is a great opportunity, and we're all the time taking advantage of these wonderful what media can do today. And so, you know, Gabor, as he mentioned, we were talking, and he said, "Gosh, I'm starting to work with some of these visuals that we can have some quick conversations and share them with people." And I've been working with my students in my workshop class, and a lot of times, I'm sure everybody can relate to this. You find a scene, you're walking down a lane or a road, you're driving, and you find something, and there's a lot of interest there, but there just isn't that oomph that takes it over that edge that sometimes can make it a wonderful pictorial that maybe one would think. Sometimes paintings have messages to them, sometimes they don't. But I think actually, overall, every painting has a message. Some of them more telling a story, others could be the message, could be just the mood that the artist captured. A sunset or a foggy, ethereal scene, a rainy day, a snowy day. All those actually have or bring a message. But again, sometimes on my travels, I've done a study of a certain topic. And in this case, what you're seeing here is I had a study. Unfortunately, I don't have it in front of me right now, so I can't bring it to you, but I'll just kind of talk about it. I had a study of these wonderful passageways, archways that you find in Europe. This happens to be in the Venice area and around Chioggia. And buildings are all connected sometimes above, and down below you have these interesting passages that have these wonderful archways, multiple archways that continue to go back. So I found this one passage that I thought was great, and I did a study of it, and I brought it home, and I captured the light, the effects, the shapes, the subtlety of, especially of the shadow transitions, some of the color temperature shifts that happen in the modeling of the walls and so forth. Sometimes you've got some of the old plastic that's coming off, and some of it's there and it's aged. Some of it's got patina, it's got mold growing out, it's got all kinds of stuff that make, as far as an artist, it creates a great visual interest and sometimes a wonderful harmony. So I did this study, but it needed something more. So I looked at it for quite a while, and I thought what it needs is it needs a strength of light to come in. I introduced, this scene did not have this, I introduced this shaft of light as if there was an opening to a corridor. I kind of developed a corridor that would go from right or to the left behind this archway here. And so I developed an opening as if the sunlight was hitting here along the floor, obviously, interesting shape to it, and that it was from another archway, obviously, but you got just a sliver of that light. That alone added so much to this particular scene that it was in a sense kind of a nothing burger, I referred to it. With that, whoops, I went to a side thing, sorry about that.
So the structure was there. You just you're playing with the design, basically through bringing in that light pattern.
Exactly. Yeah. It just the structure, the interest of the design, moving from being in the foreground to moving to the back, pretty much was there. I did manipulate and added some interest to this foreground area to give it. I brought that little pot in. I brought this window in. The little hanging. There's always a lot of little hanging lights to light up these corridors when it gets to be evening.
Could you zoom in, Ken? That's what's so great about Photoshop. Can you zoom in a little bit on the?
Oh, sure. Yeah. I can come in here and you can see the thick and thin of the paint. You can see the area back here that it's suggestive. It's only suggestive, if you think of it, of light and shadow. There's light shapes back here. There's shadow shapes back here. Here you can make out an umbrella. You can't make out really what this is. You can see a shaft of light here with shadow. So this whole scene was developed and was the influence of this whole scene came from the light effect in this corridor. Now, the last thing that I added to this, of course, and what I was going to get to too before is that when I put this light in, that gave me the opportunity to put in reflective light. So you got reflective light that's hitting on some of these archways subtly, and so you have actually sunlight. You've got reflective light. You have the sense of what ambient light. On the other side of this corridor, you would get a sense that this is open from here up to the sky. And so you get the sense of ambient light cooling something off. So you get warm and cool working back and forth on this particular painting. And then you have the tunneling effect, which makes sometimes for a good composition, a repetition of shape. You got repetition of the arches that are continuing back. And so that's also another, sometimes can be a strong, unique, and dynamic design. And then the last thing, as far as carrying on a little bit more as a narrative, is when I've been over there numerous times in Europe, is you have a lot of the little critters, the cats, that happen to live and be around. And they'll come around a corner like this one here and just more or less say, hey, I'm here. And one is maybe stretching in part of the sun, a couple younger ones sitting here looking, and one back here. That is only added to give a sense of life to this simple scene. So that's
what you're saying, Ken, here is that we have, because with digital imagery, gosh, we take thousands of pictures. So there's a good chance we have imagery that we haven't really explored as much, basically.
Well, again, I think the artist has to open up. We all have to become very competent in our draftsmanship, our sense of value, color temperature, and that's all good. We can go out and find a scene and translate it and turn it into the language of paint, which is a good thing. But sometimes we have scenes that aren't quite there, and that's what I refer to is sometimes we get a lemon. There's not much I can do here. I need to do something. So I took a scene that was kind of a lemon scene and made lemonade out of it by adding a light source, as I mentioned, by adding a few little critters in. And of course, that one light source added all this other opportunity for light. So it added all this wonderful subtlety that was not necessarily there in that beginning lemon scene, I'll put it that way. And that's sometimes what the artist needs to do, is open up that door of creativity that then allows the artist, and this is so much fun for me. I have to pull from past experiences, past studies. Sometimes I'll put a bunch of other studies up in front of me to aid in my developing of this. I had no shaft of light to develop this, but that came from my on location experiences of painting light occasionally and shafts of light where you have a warmer before it drops into the shadow, and how it looks on a surface going this, I'll get rid of this, how it looks on a surface going on a floor before it goes on a surface going upright. This shape will get more warm light, if you will, because if you think of the angle of the sun was probably coming in like this. So it's not giving this the warmth, it's giving this more of the warmth, and it also has to do with the local color of something too. This wall probably had a little bit more of a warmer, reddish warm glow to it to begin with, or color to it. And now hitting sunlight on it, it turns it into a whole new adventure, if you will, or whole new excitement and visual stimulation for the pictorial. Again, if you could imagine it not being there, and I could even quickly do that by finding a color here and getting in and just getting rid of all this.
by the way, as Ken is doing this, if some of you are new to online learning, Ken, we have a class that we offer with Ken, and you can see how Photoshop is such a wonderful tool to teach these principles, as what Ken is doing right now. And I really believe that technology, it can really help a fine artist. So again, if you're new to this online learning, make sure you look up Ken's course on our website. We do have a wonderful course that Ken teaches with us.
So here's that same scene, and now what I'm going to do is I should have made a copy of this, Gabor. I forgot to make a copy.
That's fine. Yeah.
So what I'm going to do is I'm going to hit reverse and start to just get rid of this. You can see how this scene looks now. It's not that bad. It still isn't that bad, but you don't have anything in the foreground. You go immediately to the back, and that's okay. But let's just start slowly getting rid of this, and look what happened. As soon as you put that light in, it adds so much more to that. I guess you could refer to this. I look at a landscape as having a foreground, middle distance, and sky. You can think of this as being the foreground here, if you will. If I'll grab that yellow, that yellow color I had again earlier. You can think of this being your foreground. Here. This is all your foreground here. And this is getting into the middle distance. So this is foreground, this is middle distance, and then you have back here distance that goes further in, even another corridor that goes further back. And what you don't have is sky, obviously in this particular scene, but you still have those various zones to show the viewer a sense of depth. We can't paint that. We can only paint the effects or create that illusion. And that's why this was, to me, it was a strong composition to begin with, because it showed the perspective. All I did is showed also a light to that perspective and how the light gets different, obviously, as it goes back further into the scene. So again, taking a lemon of a scene and trying to make some lemonade out of it, or trying to make it more, was the fun part of being an artist. I mean, I enjoy finding a scene on location and painting it for what it is, but I also have days when I'm in the studio, I can't get out, or I don't want to get out, or I have so much reference or studies from travels that by themselves, sometimes they make for good subject matter to develop into larger painting. Other times, what I really enjoy is this part that I just talked about, adding something more to it, bringing something, as they always say, bring something to the party. And that's what I'm doing. I'm trying to bring something to this already interesting corridor scene and bringing some life to it. So it's just a fun opportunity for artists to open that door of creativity.
Thanks, Ken, for sharing this. By the way, what size is this?
I'm sorry?
What size is the painting?
Oh, the title of the painting is Venetian Glow.
The size, sorry.
Oh, the size, I'm sorry. Yeah, it's Venetian Glow, and it's an odd size. It's I'm going to say around a 16 by 18 or something, 17. It's a little bit of an odd size, but it is now, it's going to be at the Plein Air Painters of America exhibit at the Waterhouse Gallery and at Santa Barbara, in Santa Barbara, I should say. And that show will be opening. You can find information on the internet, or you can go to the Plein Air Painters of America website, and you can see all the other artists that will be participating and exhibiting in that show. And it's great that we have Diane and Ralph Waterhouse hosting this show. And unfortunately, I have other commitments. I can't make it out for the show, but I am participating. And this is one of the 3 paintings that I have in that upcoming exhibit in about 2 weeks' time.
Yeah, so if you guys are here, check it out. Yeah, you can see this painting live. But thank you, Ken.
Thanks, Gordon. Appreciate the opportunity.
Yeah, it's just such a great tool to have at our disposal to show art students what you're thinking. So thanks, Ken. We'll talk to you later.
Okay, real good. Thanks. Bye now.
Bye.